transiting in Gemini. So Mars transits in Gemini from the 26th of August. Then Mars enters out of bounds on the 6th of September at 5:30 a.m. until the 18th of September, when Mars leaves out of bounds but is still in Gemini. So what does Mars in Gemini mean? I will talk about that. If you want to know more about what Mars out of bounds is and what happens during that transit, then I've done a separate audio on that as well. So in astrology, Gemini is associated with duality, the twins, and the twins represent the dual nature of Gemini, which is a mutable air sign, so very intellectual, can be changeable as well, can see all sides of the argument, and can be very good at predicting outcomes at the very best. At the very lowest, we can turn to gossip and slander, ruin each other, telling lies and manipulating each other through our intellect, through our logic. So as I said, Gemini's energy is really, really good because it gives us the ability to see both sides of a situation. So maybe you've been stuck in a problem and, because you've only been looking at it from your side, but you may have taken the other person's side or the other people's side, or, on a big scale, another religious outlook or another spiritual discipline, so just, it allows us to look at things from outside of ourselves, and in doing this we can find solutions while Mars is in Gemini, especially when it comes to the intellectual use of our motivational energy, because this is what Mars represents in astrology. So Gemini's energy gives us the ability to communicate effectively with others and ourselves. It also reminds us that life is filled with contradictions and paradoxes. This is why I say now we have truths. We know there's night, we know there's day, we know there's water. If we know certain things, but I believe that in the majority of truths that we see as truths are actually half truths, and this is when we get the conflicts, because we're like, my truth is the truth, or this truth is the truth, this philosophy or religion is the truth, and this is why we come out of harmony as a collective. So Gemini energy can help us understand others more. When Mars is moving through Gemini, it increases our intellectual energy and also our communication skills. So it's really good for inspiring us to stand up for ourselves, to be more assertive, especially in our speech, take quick action on our ideas, and engage in dynamic debates and discussions. It can make us just have a thirst for knowledge, a thirst for change, a thirst for looking at ourselves, because I'm all for us sort of like being our own therapist in a way and taking an objective look at ourselves. So this energy allows us to take an objective look at ourselves and to explore different subjects with more enthusiasm, and we can just find ourselves more inclined towards multitasking and expressing our thoughts with more clarity, and just adapting quickly to new information. And this is the key point, because a lot of the time we can get the information but find it hard to adapt, and it does take time, and we always do our research, and we should never believe anything too quickly. But the thing is, we do a lot of the time, we see something on social media and we take it as truth without checking the validity. So this energy wants us not only to have a thirst for knowledge, but also a thirst for truth and research and getting to the bottom of stuff. So some of you, especially, those who work in the creative field, can really, really feel really artistic and creative, just overflowing with ideas. It gives us the ability to brainstorm as well in the workplace or out the workplace, also to use our logic as well as our intuition, or and it can just make us be more productive and stimulating, especially when working with others as well. it encourages us to be more proactive in seeking out new learning opportunities, or, challenge our existing beliefs. What is it that you believe about the world? What is it that you believe about you? And how do your beliefs match up with, your life journey? Like, where do you really want to go? If you say, oh, I want to be a success, but you've got a core belief that you can never be successful, of course you will have to work with that block, because talking from personal experience, a lot of the time when we can either be working towards things, but if we don't believe that we really deserve it, it can block us from actually achieving it, because we can be seemingly making progress on the surface, but secretly sort of like sabotaging ourselves. So just asking yourself as well, in what ways do you sabotage yourself, especially on the intellectual level? So negatively, Mars in Gemini can make us impulsive, because it can make us really restless, especially because of all the thoughts we can have, and with our motivation energy, because we're getting an influx of energy, remember, mutable, intellectual, stimulating energy that's driving us to be curious, and we're motivated to do and act on this information, right? So we have to try and keep this in check, write ideas down, stay grounded, do practices to help you stay grounded that are healthy as well, and just avoid spreading yourself too thin, taking on too many projects, trying to start too many new things, and just burning yourself out and stuff. So practically, it wants us to realise how important communication is in our day-to-day lives, whether it be through verbal, written or non-verbal. The subtle kills the body language. We always say, oh, well, I read between the lines. What are we reading? That subtle intuitive information that we can pick up. So Mars in Gemini challenges us to communicate more effectively, and especially with others. And I keep on doing this, but every time I remember, I'm just going to jump in and say, hi, I'm Amani, by the way. If you like my content, please like it and share it, and thanks for listening. So yeah, Mars in Gemini encourages us to be more open-minded and flexible in our nature, and make quicker judgments, and be able to think on our feet. Yeah, so this is really good for getting yourself out of your ruts that you've been in, especially in the way that you think. Good for working through your toxic thought patterns and trying to get to the root, because until when you get to the root of it, then they will keep on continuing. And a lot of the time it can be scary, because it means going to places that we normally lock ourselves away from in our psyche, whether it be through our distractions or drugs, alcohol, toxic ways of relating to ourselves and others. So it's scary, but this energy really allows us to, go there if we really want to go there. But we just need to watch out for wasting our energy, because, we're unfocused and we're trying to do too much. So we have to really, really find ways to channel this expansive energy in, a better way. So on the worldly, materialistic level, it brings, a spotlight on our strategic thinking. People can be more focused on making the right choices and taking calculated risks, but this on the negative can lead to manipulative behaviour, and something can seem like it's spontaneous, but it's not. And this is not to get you paranoid, but just to make you aware of all the eventualities of all the energies that I talk about. So it can make us more prone to making decisions based on logical reasoning, which is really good, rather than from our emotions or from our psychological, spiritual sort of trauma or awareness, which can be good, especially because sometimes I believe in trying to get ourselves in balance, working with our logic and intuition. So the logic, using the logic to direct the emotions, not control, but to direct and channel your emotions in the right way is key for you to using this energy in the most productive way. And even if this means sitting with your emotions, it's not about running away from your emotions. It's about being objective when working through your emotional, psychological and spiritual sort of like traumas. So we can have a strong drive towards gathering information, which is really good. And we can And because of this strong drive to, think before we react and act and to check facts, we can engage in more stimulating conversations and, as I said, be open to challenging our perspectives and expanding our mental horizons, our thought patterns and, the way we look at things and take in information as well. And by focusing on our intellectual development and objective thought at this time, we can use the power of our minds to, navigate the complexities of the material world with more agility, flexibility, awareness and precision at this time. So on the political, social front, there can be a lot of debates and disputes and negotiations because, Mars and, it's a dynamic, it's our motivation drives, and this is all our drives to complete projects, to do our routine, to stick to diets, to stick to exercise routines, to get out of bed, to get dressed, to have sex, to make love, to care for ourselves, to develop ourselves, to push ourselves. Mars governs all of that. So we can have more disagreements and conflicts because there can be more conflicts within ourselves because of all of this energy, if we don't, especially if we use it to run away from our problems rather than face it, which this energy is giving us plenty of support to do so. So yeah, because there can be a chance of heated debates and disagreements over difference of opinions, so even though in the long run this energy can make us more open-minded, but in the short term, we can have kind of conflict getting to that middle ground. So there can be a lot of negotiations and compromising that may have to be done because of all the opposing viewpoints, so it can be a lot of, okay, if you agree with me on this, then I agree with you on that sort of thing, but just make sure you're staying true to yourself whilst also respecting other people's boundaries as well for the best long-term results. Because whenever we kind of kill ourselves, yes, we can not always, how can I put this? So, okay, for instance, it depends on the contents, if we're at a funeral and, someone's died and stuff, we're not going to start spouting. Well, we shouldn't start spouting our personal opinions on I don't really believe in burials and death and, all of that, because we have to be mindful of the nuances that, we're amongst people who do, and it may not be the time and the place, and even though you may, mean it in good spirits, they may not take it in good spirits. So we just have to be careful about what we're saying and how we're saying things without as well compromising our authenticness as well. So Mars in Gemini pushes a spirit of competition, so people can just be wanting to get one up on each other, being I'm the best at this, no, I'm the best, a lot of competition for promotions and stuff like that, and everyone can have a stronger desire to assert their opinions, and this can lead to a flurry of influx, lots of debates and discussions, and then because of all of this, we can feel like we have to advocate for our own beliefs and interests, because there can be people trying to overstep and step on them, and so stick up for yourself as well, but do it in a way that reduces the conflict rather than makes it worse. So ultimately it's a time when we're more inclined to stand up for our rights, voice our concerns, and engage in diplomatic exchanges to resolve conflicts and reach mutual beneficial agreements, especially in the social political areas of life. So on the psychological level, because it can make us more mentally flexible and impulsive, and and pushes us to make rapid action and make quick decisions, and we can just be more mentally aware, just switched on, just quick with our comebacks, especially when people put us down, or others can be this way with us. It can make even the most meek and mild person a bit more standing up for themselves, but not physically, intellectually, verbally. It allows us to have a boost in our cognitive abilities, and it can just make us more nimble-minded in our approach to problem solving and decision making, as I said, but it can make us make hasty decisions, and we just need to watch out for that. just making sure we think things through, because we can speak without a filter and make rapid choices without considering the full consequences, even though at the time we can be, I don't care about the consequences. So it's just important to find a balance between being mentally flexible and, also using, thoughtful thinking, deliberation to avoid unnecessary conflicts and misunderstandings. Conflicts may come in the way, but just make sure they're not unnecessary, because this will be a waste of this energy. So on a deeper esoteric level, it wants us to engage in meaningful conversations, seek knowledge that feeds our soul, our higher consciousness, our intellect, our logic, explore new ideas, and just dig into philosophical sort of like matters, and maybe try meditation practices that align with your beliefs and inspires you to, dive into fresh concepts like breathing meditation does so much, working with your core as well can help with posture, and when you do breath work and you have to breathe through the diaphragm, it can help you strengthen your core as well. Doing separate core exercises, I would recommend that as well. And it's just the benefits by doing that within the first week. The first week when I really did it, as you know, we'll go through times doing it one day, then not the other day, and it went on for several years like that. Hence why I say, I'm a supporter of picking yourself up after all your failures, all your feeble attempts, because if you keep on going and keep on trying, you will get there eventually. So yeah, it wants us to sort of like just get real, and as I said, the breathwork meditation can just help you to just be better at breathing in normal day to day. You spend that 15 minutes working on your breath, and it has benefits over time. And if you want to think about it in money terms, compound interest, 15 minutes, do that for a week, then you find yourself breathing, much more better, and then on time, over time, most of your breath is naturally productive and helping you with your posture and your core, just because of, those 15 minutes you've spent every day doing so, and it's bringing you, 24 hours with rewards each day in, day out, for 15 minutes of your time. So, there's multiple benefits, even for your mental health as well. So, symbolically and creatively, it allows us to innovate ourselves in terms of in how we express ourselves. So, this can be through writing, public speaking, engaging in debates that challenge your intellect, allowing for your ideas to flow freely and fearlessly. On a personal level, because it can bring a surge of energy, and if we don't use this productively, it can make us sort of like restless. But yeah, on the personal individual level, we can just feel the need to multitask more, socialise more, engage in various projects at the same time, and emotionally, because it stirs up excitement and curiosity within us, calling us to sort of like immerse ourselves in deep philosophical, or even, as I said, working through your own psychological, spiritual and emotional sort of like blockages, asking yourself why you think the way you do, why you do the daily habits that you do, why you self-destruct in the ways that you do, what you may be addicted to, why you relate toxically to yourself and others. And even if you think that you don't, I believe that if we sort of like dig sometimes not too far under the surface, where there's always things we can find to work on, and not in a way that sucks the fun out of life, but in a way that allows you to enjoy the fullness of life, because you're really connected to it, you're really connected to yourself. So now I'm just going to sum up the overall positives, negatives and best use of Mars in Gemini. So yeah, it just makes us more articulate, more intellectually inclined. Our motivational drives can be more, wanting to be more mentally stimulated. You may want to reward yourself, or if you for the good work you do and stuff, by being more intellectual. You may want to incorporate talking more in lovemaking, stuff like that. You want more intellectual stimulation, whether it's to do with eating, driving even, you may listen to things more, you know. Some of you may turn up to, you know, an interview and impress the interviewer with communication skills at this time, or just be very impressive because of your ability to tap into that energy that allows us to think quickly and to react and act quickly. But we must temper that, because negatively it can make us impulsive. So we just need to make sure that we don't get aggressive, especially verbally or physically. Just think before we react as well, but also know when to, you know, act as well. So it's kind of like a paradox and contradiction, but yeah. So yeah, just think about the consequences. If you're willing to bear the consequences, you know, then go for it. And it's important to try and avoid engaging in heated debates, and just try and take a calmer approach. This will be much more better and much more easier for us to do, because, you know, Mars is in Gemini, so Mars is getting cooled down. Mars is here, you know, Mars is normally fiery Aries, you know, it's in its own sign. In Gemini, think before you do things and change your approach. What may work today may not work tomorrow, sort of thing. So yeah, the best use of this energy is to do things that stimulate your mind, body and soul, and your intellect and intuition at the same time. Attend workshops, seminars, you know, maybe take up a new language course, you know, join in debate clubs, or, you know, just focusing on tasks that allow you to use your intellect and communication skills effectively. You can really leverage and use this energy positively, and, you know, minimize the pitfalls of impulsiveness that this energy brings as well. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the aspects that Mars makes when it transits in Gemini and how they affect it. So at first, the Sun makes a quintile to Mars, so this is just nice, sort of more inward energy that adds to our creativity and vitality. So yeah, you know, the whole 5 to 6 weeks Mars is in Gemini, it can add to us feeling confident and more motivated, and this can lead to us, you know, completing our targets and starting new things, and it just encourages us and supports us to assert ourselves positively without being aggressive. So this is nice energy coming from within, so, you know, it allows you to do that inner work, to question yourself, to check yourself before you wreck yourself, sort of thing, before you say words or do things that blow your whole house down, unless that's what you want to do. But yeah, so Mercury makes a sextile to Mars, so this allows us to be more mentally flexible, aids us with our communication skills as well, and to speak with more conviction and clarity, and this can make our interactions with others more impactful and productive. But negatively, it can just add to us sort of like being aggressive, because Mercury and Mars are working together, right? So, you know, positively, yeah, that's good. It can make it us more peacefully, but it could just be like, I'm not going to think before I use my Mars motivation energy as well. Venus also makes a square to Mars, so there can be tension between our desires for harmony and affection, represented by Venus, and our need to take action and to assert ourselves, you know, and have our boundaries respected. So it's important to find a balance between these conflicting energies to avoid conflicts and misunderstandings in our relationships, which, you know, Mars in Gemini is already bringing on its own. So Mars is also making a conjunction to Jupiter, so all of this I've talked about is expanded. So yeah, it expands our confidence and our enthusiasm and our ability to take on new challenges and opportunities. It can increase our energy levels and motivation, pushing us to aim higher and go after our goals with more passion, more zeal, you know, more panache, more swagger. But we have to sort of like just watch out for being too passionate and taking on too much, you know. So take risks, but make sure they're calculated, make sure you check facts, do your research, and don't be scared of hard work, but don't be afraid to relax to avoid burnout as well. Mars also makes a square to Neptune, so this adds to our focus and drive. It's essential to maintain clarity, stay grounded. Mars makes a biquintile to Pluto, so this is a nice, subtle but potent influence. It can infuse our actions with transformative power and determination, enabling us to make significant changes and breakthroughs in our plans. It adds to our motivation, and our, seeking out our inner growth and empowerment as individuals. It supports our personal power and, personal development attempts. But we just have to watch out, because Mars is making a square to Neptune, so this can, as I said, make us run to our addictions and want to escape and want to be lied to and ignore red flags just because we don't care. We just want to escape our internal reality, so we don't care if externally we're messing our life up. So just try and use the energy of Mars's sextile to Chiron that's also present, that allows us to address our insecurities and allows us to have a spotlight on what exactly is getting in the way of our progress. So this is really good. So it allows us to love ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to accept ourselves, become more self-aware and not be so afraid of our emotional suffering and pain in our past, and allows us to build our spiritual, emotional, psychological resilience and approach challenges with a sense of wholeness and understanding, or from a sense of I am going to keep on going, because this is all you need to commit to. Sometimes I've put off so many things for years, decades maybe, because I'm like, I gotta do this before I do this so I can do that. But no, sometimes we just have to start. Sometimes, my forethought, I'm not going to lie, it's the one and only gift. I say, forethought has stopped me from making some bad decisions. I still made bad decisions, but they never went as far because I was always thinking before I sort of like acting. But in the negative to that, I was never in the moment as well. So there's always a sort of paradox to every skill. So this is why I said we need to holistically use all of our personality traits and use intuition and logic and stuff, so we can be a whole person, see things from all angles, especially ourselves. Mars also makes a trine to the ascendant, so this just allows us to have more confidence, charisma, and more like self-love as well, and it allows us to align our inner desires and how we present ourselves to the world with who we actually are, and it just empowers us to be an individual, and go after our goals with passion, but also respecting other people who sort of like do that as well, and allowing them to assert others to assert themselves. That's what I'm looking for. So okay, so now I'm going to talk about what a T-square is in astrology and the positives and negatives of a transiting T-square. So a T-square in astrology is when 3 or more planets. Normally some people count points. I will only count a point, such as the moon's north node, if it was like conjunct a planet like Venus at the same degree, something like that in a T-square. I wouldn't necessarily include it on its own. So a T-square is when 3 or more planets form a right angled triangle in a transit chart, and this configuration involves 2 planets being involved each other, creating tension, and a third planet squares both of the opposing planets, and this is why it's called like a T-square, because it looks like a T. And the positives of a transiting T-square include increased motivation for growth and change, opportunities for self-awareness and transformation, and the potential for breakthroughs in difficult situations. It can act as a catalyst for personal development and push us outside of our comfort zones. Negatively, we can struggle with decision making due to the conflicting energies. We can experience a heightened emotional intensity, leading to stress or anxiety and challenges in communication and our relationships. And it can also kind of bring internal conflict to some of us as well, because of the external obstacles that come, or the internal thoughts of unresolved psychological, emotional and spiritual trauma that can come up. And dealing with these issues internally or externally that come up can require patience and resilience to overcome. So So also when Mars is transiting in Gemini, there's a mutable T-square that involves Neptune in Pisces, Mars in Gemini, and Venus in Virgo. So this is all mutable energy. Got mutable water, Pisces, mutable air, Gemini, and mutable earth, Virgo, you know. And then also there's a grand Earth trine between Venus in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus. So with the T-square between Neptune in Pisces, Mars in Gemini, and Venus in Virgo within a 15% orb, helps us to, you know, go after our dreams and desires, and to sort of like take action, and to, you know, reevaluate our inner values and relationships. But it can also make it feel like we're pulled in different directions. Like, do we take care of our dreams and desires, what Neptune wants us to do, or our motivation drives, you know, the way we do our daily routines, exercise, diet, release our sexual tension and stuff like that, which is represented by Mars, and our relationships and values represented by Venus. So because of all this indecisiveness, we can feel like we're being pulled in different directions, as I said. So this can lead to inner restlessness. So we just need to try and be grounded, but it's really good because the grand Earth trine involving Venus in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus helps us to sort of like stabilize through being practical, represented by Venus in Virgo. You know, Venus in Virgo means that we're going to be using our sexual energy in a more discerning way in a way. Pluto in Capricorn allows us to transform, but in a grounded way. You know, Pluto's in Capricorn for a while, so we're given years, you know, to really work at step by step changing ourselves and transforming, you know, ourselves in for the better in a grounded way. Yeah. So yeah, ultimately these earth signs support us in, you know, staying grounded, making long-term plans, and, you know, being open to the unexpected and beneficial changes in life. So yeah, there may be unexpected. You may decide to end a relationship or something like that may happen, but still in the long run it's beneficial because it allows you to grow, even though you may feel like crap for a while. You know, I've been there, and you're like, no, I don't want to say like no spirituality in the world can help you in a breakup. It can, but you know, it really does. But you know, when you're at the really beginning stage, you know, the first 1 to 7 days, please allow yourself to grieve, especially if it was a long-term relationship. You know, if it's short-term, then maybe you don't need the 7 days, you may just need a day or an hour, but you know, let yourself to grieve. And of course, you know, if it's even 7 days, you may need longer. Allow yourself to go through your grief, but also allow yourself to see it as beneficial, and allowing yourself to be able to move through it. It's just best to, you know, make sure we, you know, manage our energy levels so we don't become scattered in our focus, and that we're open to using this grand trine energy in a more structured and purposeful sort of like way, and just allowing ourselves to sort of like be grounded while also being curious and taking action, which I know is not an easy sort of like task, but you know, this is what Mars in Gemini wants us to do. So now I'm just going to talk about the karmic meanings and lessons and the type of past life memories that may come up during Mars transiting in Gemini. So on the karmic level, it wants us to work on how we express ourselves assertively and how we handle conflicts. Do we run away? Why do we let people walk all over us? Why do we bully people? Why do we overpower and feel we have to dominate and be the best? Why do we do this? Do we respect other people's boundaries? Do we overstep them? Why do we feel that we're deserving to set a known boundary in our life? What sort of things make us step over our own boundaries? Normally love, we fall in love and we can be stupid. I have seen people lose careers over love choices, and I'm not saying, you know, we should follow love. Of course I am, but I have found a lot of the things we actually say is love is actually not love. It's more like lust and trauma bonding and stuff like that. But anyway, Mars in Gemini wants us to find a balance in our words and actions and avoid being impulsive and think before we speak, as I said. And we may have dreams or past life memories or even current life memories where we may have used harsh words or be hurted by other people's harsh words, and it wants us to sort of like think about how we can communicate more thoughtfully and compassionately, but how we can have more empathy for the damage that was caused by other people's words and the damage that we caused others by our words, and learning to forgive ourselves and let go of all of that, and learning to become better communications in our now, so in our future we can not make the same mistakes of our past. So in terms of past life memories, it wants us, as I said, to speak up for ourselves, learn new skills, and we may find ourselves revisiting situations where clear communication was crucial, and we may not have, we may have failed because we didn't communicate that communication, correctly in past lives or even in this current life, and, or maybe memories where misunderstandings came up because of words or actions as well. And reflecting on these memories can help you identify patterns in your communication style and understand how your past experience are influencing your present interactions. And by recognizing these patterns and being more mindful of your words and actions during Mars in Gemini and beyond, you can work towards resolving karmic lessons and working through your psychological, emotional, and spiritual blockages as well, especially those associated with communication and assertiveness. And remember, communication is not just about the words we speak, but also the energy we give off, the vibe we give off while speaking. So Mars in Gemini invites us to pay attention to how we communicate both verbally and non-verbally, and by being aware of these messages that we're sending out into the world and into our own thoughts. This is why I keep on going on. The thoughts we allow to live in our head is really, really important and stuff. I used to have the most terrible thoughts, so they still come sometimes, don't get me wrong, and just inner critic and stuff, but when I wasn't aware of them, oh my gosh, that perspective was really not lining up with what I was saying I want. If you was asking me, what do you want from life, I want this or that, but what I thought I deserved and stuff in terms of my thoughts were not aligning. So just thinking about your thoughts, helping yourself gain more clarity, and just embracing self-awareness, love and acceptance can really help you meet the karmic goals of Mars transiting in Gemini. So now I'm going to talk about how Mars in Gemini affects our relationships. In terms of our family relationships, we can see a boost in our communication and intellectual stimulation. You may want to do puzzles, have game nights, debate things together, and this can bring family members closer as you exchange ideas and thoughts more freely. But the fast-paced energy of Mars in Gemini can lead to arguments and conflicts because of the different opinions. And even when things can seem to be moving smoothly, family relationships and all relationships can be like something out of nowhere can just blow up. So just be careful, don't walk in their cells, but just beware, In terms of friendship and co-worker relationships, it's a good energy for teamwork. As I said, people can be more proactive, and this can, mean that you initiate social gatherings or team working projects together and just have more of a pleasant sort of like buzz of assignment within these relationships. But on the downside, miscommunications and misunderstandings can come up again and cause problems. For those of you in committed relationships, it can make it more spontaneous, seeking adventure in and outside the bedroom. You can find yourself exploring new activities together, having more stimulating conversations that can reignite your passion. But the restless energy of Mars in Gemini can lead to feelings of restlessness and a lack of focus, and this can cause tension or instability in your relationship. Singles can find themselves more attracted to people who are intellectually or, just stimulating in some other ways at this time. Mars's influence on communication and expression can just bring a lot of, desire to be stimulated. So because Mars and, is involved in Aries and Pluto energy, this can play it as, an increase in wanting to have sexual sort of hookup scenarios. But because of the, the fleeting nature, we're talking about mutable Gemini energy, here Mars in, Aries can be quite fickle as well. So this can lead to short-lived romances and a difficulty in establishing deep emotional connections. So make sure you're not lying to yourself, you're not just doing things because out of loneliness and stuff. Try and get to the root cause, and of course, if your root cause is you want to just be stimulated and have these experiences, and you know what you want, and you're not falling into the illusion of it being long term, then go for it. So in terms of self-partnered people, this is a good energy to start new hobbies, continue existing ones, learn new skills, and just do anything that stimulates your mind and allows you to be curious and adaptable, and gain a deeper understanding of yourself and others and people, and what you really want from relationships. Are you ready to date someone outside of yourself? It can also be used to develop a stronger sense of self, independence and self-reliance and resilience, and just laying stronger foundations for future relationships and for the relationship that you're having with yourself as well. And working with this energy can really just allow you to connect with your inner self and make way for a more fulfilling and balanced life, if you're willing to look at your schedule and how you can become more balanced as well and explore new horizons. And this can lead to you uncovering hidden talents and strengths and even weaknesses within yourself. But we've all got blind spots, and we should never think that we know everything. So this just allows you to embrace your individuality, nurture a strong sense of self-awareness, forgiveness and love, and just be at one. So now I'm going to talk about how Mars in Gemini affects our career, spiritual, educational and spiritual development in a bit more depth. So in terms of career, it can inspire us to take on new projects and network more, but negatively, the scattered energy that I've been talking about can lead to impulsive decision making that can get in the way of your long-term professional growth. So make sure you're not just doing things that can destroy your career right now, or just for short-term gain, because sometimes it's better. What I've learned is the longer-term gains I appreciate more, the things that I sort of had to work harder to cultivate within myself or to gain. So on the personal development level, it allows us to be open to new experiences, which is good, and this leads to exciting opportunities for personal growth and self-discovery. But negatively, we can just be restless and have a lack of commitment. We can be like, I do this and I do that, but never do nothing. As I said, just wanting to take on too much. So we just have to make sure we pick our ideas wisely, write everything down, prioritize them. What are your 10s? What are the things that you need to be getting done within the next 5 to 6 weeks or within your lifetime? 5 to 6 weeks. Mars is typically in Gemini each year, apart from when it goes retrograde, and it can stay in there a bit longer or any sign a bit longer. So it just wants us to gain more stability and to watch out for being unstable with our decisions and our emotions, and learning to balance all aspects of yourself. In terms of spiritual development, it wants you to sort of find different ways to connect with your higher power and your higher self, and to explore different philosophies and belief systems. But negatively, it can make us overthink, overanalyze and be skeptic, and this can get in the way of deeper spiritual growth and connection. In terms of educational development, Mars in Gemini can, really push and fuel our enthusiasm for learning, and it encourages us to think quicker, and it promotes effective communication, and it can just lead to breakthroughs because it can work with our sort of peers and our instructors, our teachers, our lecturers, and this can help us sort of learn new skills, and because we're thirsty for them, this can really make us soak them up quicker if we work with others and ask those questions. But negatively, because we can find it challenging to focus on long-term educational goals, this can just lead to us sort of like having a lot of unfinished projects, and get in the way of our achievements. Just try, as I said, to just take on the things that you have the time and energy to do, and it's all trial and error. At the start you may think, I can do 5 things, but then you may figure out, no, I can only do 3 things, and that's okay. It's better to do 1 thing than to try and do 5 and do none of them, So now I'm just going to round up with the best things for different types of people to do when Mars is in Gemini. So if you're more creative, work with others and try and do things that are innovative and take in a diverse perspective, Professionals can use this to pitch new ideas and to really work on improving their communication skills and networking, engaging in virtual meetings and workshops and seminars, staying up to date with industry trends, and using this time to showcase your versatility in the workplace and stuff like that. Entrepreneurs can start new marketing campaigns and connect with potential clients and partners, investors through communication channels and social media, email, newsletters, stuff like that. And just sort of like get market feedback as well can be really, really good for you at this time. So asking questions to your clients or potential clients and stuff. Alternative healers would use this energy to explore different healing techniques or offer online consultations or workshops, thinking about how you can reach a wider community, or how you can sort of like hone your niche down, and connect with like-minded individuals and share your knowledge and skills, and just develop a stronger sense of community and mutual growth amongst you and your clients and stuff as well. Sticking to, obviously, guidelines and stuff, but lovers would use this energy to have more of a playful spirit with each other, have more stimulating conversations, doing things that bring excitement, have open and honest communication with each other, and just keep the passion alive in your relationship through intellectual stimulation and shared experiences. Singles should use this time to mingle, maybe online dating, and I know it's a nightmare. Going out, going for walks, sort of like niching down your attempts on dating, so picking the right dating apps for you and stuff like that, going to social events, speed dating, whatever, and just mingling, maybe, socialising with your friends, and who knows what could happen as well. Just engage in meaningful conversations and be authentic, and this can lead to new connections and romantic relationships potentially. Just stay open-minded and curious, as you explore the different possibilities, and remember, to become your own best partner as well. And self-partnered people, so take this time to journal, self-reflect and explore your passion and interests. Engage in solo activities that stimulate your mind, body and soul, and, be creative, whether it be through writing, painting or learning something new. Just focus on building a stronger connection with yourself and gaining a deeper understanding of yourself, and just celebrating your uniqueness and prioritizing your self-care and well-being. So now I'm just going to finish up with the holistic personal development and higher consciousness rituals that we should do while Mars is transiting in Gemini. So I mentioned journaling a bit, but one powerful ritual is journaling your thoughts and feelings daily, because this can just make you keep a track of the ideas that can come through us at this time, and just write down your insights and your thoughts can just make you aware of what you still need to heal within yourself or in your relationships as well. And it can be really valuable just to jot down your reflections for your self-awareness and love and acceptance. Also, mindful communication can be really good, as I said, by actively listening to others, creating a safe space for you and others to communicate, taking time out, just really thinking about how you can really resolve the conflict rather than, making it worse. And physical movement. As I said, exercise can be really, really, really beneficial. Yoga, dancing, Pilates, weights, rebounding, jumping, running, doing any exercise, gentle exercises like, exercise that look after your neck and your head and your throat and your shoulders, the upper parts of your bodies, your limbs as well, Gemini's rules those, your lungs, and Mars with your head and your thoughts, really important, because obviously your mind is your head, and Aries, which Mars rules, governs this. So yeah, doing all things like, dancing can really be good as well. Walking, just anything that releases that pent up energy and allows you to stay grounded. And, if you move your body in more mindful, subtle energy, the subtle, gentle energy that just gets you to really think about, stretching out your body. A lot of us, as we age, can get hip problems, so just looking after that pelvic floor area, all the parts of our bodies we really don't look after, and allowing yourself to connect deeper with yourself and elevate your consciousness to new heights. And by sort of like embracing these rituals and techniques can help you enhance your spiritual growth and inner transformation and just overall understanding of yourself and the world. So yeah, that's the end of this very in-depth analysis of Mars transiting in Gemini. Take care. I've been Amani, your holistic karmic astrologer. If you like me, please subscribe. I've got lots of good stuff coming. Take care. Bye bye.